What's up?
Child, I'm just getting over this. Did you see what I put in the members only chat? That appointment, the latest one.
No, what's the latest appointment, child?
Guess who got Attorney General? Matt Gates.
Oh,
This is happening. This is happening. This is happening. I'll be talking about that today. That'll be, a top story of the day. Over down to the L
you're
Teddy
gonna have to start a
27.
new segment on your channel called
No, 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 no.
FAFO.
Me and on Red, Blue, and Black, me and Cam was just talking about it last night. It's gonna be the yo-yo segment, you on your own segment.
Oh, I like that one. You on your own. I like
Yes,
that
and so yes, I'm so excited. Listen, why am I excited? Because the next 4 years has me with so much. I have so much, content.
one. Child.
Oh boy.
Well, needless to say, I mean we've been gone for a while, you guys, but I said we got to do we got to get back into the swing of things. The people need us. The back signal has been sent out, and they need us. So we are here. For those of you that follow me on my regular channel and follow El Teddy on his regular channel, y'all know we never took our foot off the gas. Um, we kind of just got away from doing content over here, but we definitely still had our foot on the gas. So one of the last lives that we did, though, was going through the teacher project. I mean, Lord, going through Project 2025 and what that meant
Mhm.
for education. That is actually one of the last videos we did do. So for those of us who follow us, which I feel like at this point we're preaching to the choir, but you guys were very well informed on what Project 2025 could possibly mean to education and all of those that deal in education. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that again today. We're going to get into a little bit of that today. And, maybe we'll just have to do an open panel in a couple of weeks, El Teddy, for the people to come up and just let us talk about it. Let us talk about it. But right now, we're going to get into some things. What do you want to say to the people?
Hey y'all, we miss y'all. I'm so excited. Y'all know I get excited to come over here and talk education. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it.
Oh, not the good Pointer Sisters. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm so excited and I just
Mhm.
can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. Okay. All right, you guys. So that's what we have going on. I mean, you want to just jump right in with the first article that says what, the one that just point blank just says what it all means. You want to just start there?
Why not? Just dive in the deep
Why
end.
not? Let's just jump in the deep end. Okay. Now I have put the articles in the description box, so I will put them in the link. But if you're catching this on the replay and you're not looking at the chat, it is in the description box. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. Oh shoot, I done opened up the wrong thing, child. Moving right along. I opened up the wrong thing. Let me get to my email, child. Now that's gonna be stuck in my head. Thank you, El Teddy. Thank you so much. All right. So the first article we're going to read is called "What Happens If Trump Eliminates the Department of Education." And again, I will put the link in the chat, but it is in the description box. Okay. This article is coming from Axios. All right. Here we go. Thank you to everybody that's here. Our ride or dies are in the room. We appreciate y'all so much. We appreciate y'all so much. And we're about to get into the things of the things. All right. What am I doing? Oh, here it is right here. This article is dated today, 6 hours ago, November the 13th. Okay. President-elect Trump has repeatedly pledged to dismantle The Department of Education, a decision that could radically reshape learning across America. Why does it matter? The Department of Education plays a crucial role in making education access and quality more equitable for students nationwide. Abolishing the department and the accompanying changes are an effort to strip the federal government of any ability to do good as a way to justify further defunding our public schools and colleges. Kelly Rossinger, an associate professor of education and public policy at Penn State, told Axios. State of play. The Department of Education has been a punching bag for Republicans for decades. Ronald Reagan threatened to abolish it, and many inside the GOP have echoed Trump's calls for its end. Rep. Thomas Macy from Kentucky last year said, unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. should not be in charge of our children's intellectual and moral development while introducing a bill to kill the department. Driving the news, Elon Musk, one of President-elect Trump's most influential backers, posted a video to X Monday showing Trump boasting about closing the department and sending all education matters back to the states. The official 2024 GOP platform calls for the closing of the Department of Education. So, you guys, this isn't just Project 2025. This was an official part of the the Republican platform for 2024. Okay, this isn't just a Project 2025 thing. Can Trump actually get rid of the department? I think this is a very important question. Pupils, I'm still El Teddy's pupils. Get your pens and paper out. This is a very important question. While not impossible, Trump's political pathway to abolishing the Department of Education is narrow. Eliminating the department will require congressional action, likely including a supermajority of 60 votes with the Senate, the Washington Post reported. Despite their 53 to 47 Senate majority, Republicans are unlikely to muster up the votes to circumvent the filibuster. A House voter last year on an amendment eliminating the department failed after 60 Republicans joined the Democrats opposing it, per the Post. Flashback. Trump's animus towards the Department of Education isn't new. During his first term, he proposed merging the Education and Labor Departments. Betsy DeVos, Trump's previous Secretary of Education, was seen by many critics as anti-public education. It wasn't seen. She was, child. She was. What does the Department of Education do? Again, get your pens and paper out. This is important. The department funds Title I of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which provides supplemental funding to high-poverty K-12 school districts. Head Start programs provide vital child care services for many low-income and rural communities across the country. The department also administers Pell Grants. Some of y'all are recipients of Pell Grants, which help low-income students attend college. The Office of Special Education Programs provides resources to support students with disabilities through age 21. The department also collects national data on schools and enforces federal civil rights laws to prohibit discrimination. Don't even get us started on that part. The Department of Education is also the loan holder for most federal student loans. What happens if the department is eliminated? Project 2025, which Trump's allies have touted as the incoming administration's agenda, outlines plans to abolish the department, which it calls a one-stop shop for the woke education cartel. Instead, Project 2025 calls for redistributing various federal education programs across the government while eliminating others or transferring them to the states. For instance, it calls for management of Title I to be transferred to the Department of Health and Human Services. The Department's Civil Rights Office would join the Justice Department, and the Treasury Department would manage student loan collection and defaults. While they're saying these changes, from shifting programs across agencies, shuffling staff, or losing experts in the field, could mean chaos ahead. When federal government programs are chaotic, it's going to disproportionately harm working class families, she added. What could happen to student loans? While Trump has repeatedly rallied against the Biden administration's student loan debt forgiveness effort, Project 2025 takes aim at the federal government's role as a student loan lender. Project 2025 says the income-driven repayment plans have proliferated beyond reason and that a new IDR plan should be instituted that requires payments equal to 10% of a borrower's income for those earning above the poverty line. I'm sorry, 10% of your income you should be paying back to your student loan debt. Okay. It also calls for returning to a system where private lenders offer student loans. Private loans typically become one with higher interest rates than federal loans. Like, what is it, El Teddy? What's that company that just got banned from ever being able to do student loans again? Starts with an M. What was it?
Not Navient.
Navient. Yeah, Navient. Those are also concerns the administration could narrow the scope of loans available to help students gain higher education, like eliminating the Parent Plus loans for undergraduates, graduate student plus loans, both of which Project 2025 calls for an end. How will this reshape American education? These changes would profoundly alter American education. For one, it will disseminate the professional education bureaucracy as Trump replaces career experts in their fields with political appointees. Between the lines, even if the Department of Education is left intact, changes are likely as the Trump administration is unlikely to continue the Biden administration's effort to expand LGBTQ plus and gender equality protections or forgive student loan debt. So if you ain't get those loans forgiven already, I feel for you. The Trump administration could also transfer responsibility for accrediting universities and colleges to the states. To the states. So, El Teddy, I'm gonna put a pin in that real quick. I know I'm gonna finish it up, but I'm gonna put a pin in that real quick. What do you think that could look like for HBCUs if now, let's say, for example, the state of Kentucky is in charge of accrediting colleges?
I'd rather you finish because I'm mid rant in my head. Like my meltdown, my sugar spike moment right now is on full throttle in my head. So I'm trying to bring it
All right.
down.
Actually, we're almost done. I thought we had a little bit further to go. I'm actually almost done. Hold on. Bottom line, looking at Project 2025, the programs that are supporting trans students, that support low-income students, that support racially marginalized students, those are going to be the ones that are the most threatened. So actually, I was at the end. I thought I had further to go, but I was at the end. So you have the floor.
I think that I think people well, first of all, I'm going to preface by saying I am under I don't believe that it'll actually happen because they don't have the votes for that. That's to start.
Mm-hmm.
The other
Mm-hmm.
reason that I don't even know that it'll even come to a vote because if you look at what he says he wants to do with regard to education, that's not within his power. That's not even within the power of the current Department of Education. The only, like I was saying last night, the only teeth that the United States Department of Education has right now is funding, is the dollars that they put into states. And um, other than that, the states already run education in their respective, states. So even if Trump said he wanted to do something like, punish all of the, I'm talking K through 12 now. I'm talking K through 12 now.
Mm-hmm.
And even for that matter, state schools. You can't put any teeth in that because the federal government does not control education. That's one. Even if he had the numbers, I don't think that any person that is an actual calls themselves a politician that wants to be elected in some capacity would go for that. Really be, I'm just going to name one pivotal part. If they took away Title One funds and put that in the hands of the states, that would bankrupt every state in this country. Every state and every municipality in this country would be bankrupt. They cannot afford that. There are schools and districts where more than half of their budget comes from Title One. Am I making this up? Really, be? I just want you to stop me when I'm lying.
You're not making it up. Listen, you know what I do with my look. You know what part of my job is, so you know I
Exactly.
know.
So my point being that that's not even feasible. Like even states like Tennessee that have gone on these, escapades where they say we're not going to take these government funds for dot because we want to be able to do what we want. Guess what funds they always take? Title One.
I
They
sure
cannot.
do.
They absolutely cannot afford that. So for any person unilaterally to say that they're going to end the Department of Education and thus do away with states receiving that, that will be political malpractice and political suicide. That's what that would be ultimately.
So here's what I'm more afraid of, if you want me to be honest. I'm actually
Hmm.
more afraid of that not happening because I have a friend who worked at the Department of Ed during the last term. And the Department of Ed was a ghost town, which meant that things weren't happening, things were getting backlogged, nobody was coming to work. Like, and honestly, I would much rather you redistribute the responsibilities, even if I don't like where you're doing it, then you just say, oh, all right, well, they won't let me close it. So I really don't care what happens. You know what I mean? Because it was a lot that just wasn't happening under the last administration. I mean, under Trump's first administration, as it related to certain things. And again, when we start talking about what the Department of Education does, it's I don't think people really are wrapping their brain around. Because you're right, him closing the Department of Ed really isn't my biggest concern, if I'm being honest. My biggest concern is him gutting the Department of Ed. Like, because we're not dealing with rational thinkers. Like, you're like, yeah, it would bankrupt the states. Well, we're clearly not dealing with people who are looking at this through a rational lens. You know what I mean?
Oh, I got you. Oh, I got you. I mean,
Thank you for sharing it out, K Fit. Thank you. Yeah.
my
So that's
Go
go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, no, no. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I wasn't gonna say. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I just think that so that's one part of it. I think when you start to add on the part about post secondary education and what that means there. Right now, accreditations for colleges and university comes from regional accreditation
Mhm.
organizations.
Right.
I
Right.
know down in the South we have SACS, which stands for Southern Accreditation of Colleges and Schools, something like that. I can't think of but it's SACS, SACS, and every
Yeah.
you
I know what you're
know
talking about. Yeah.
region has their own accreditation entity that issues, and that is something that the feds have control of. I am fearful that that can be a way in for them to cripple college and university pedagogy and instruction and education as we know it. Um, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this more when I go on my live a little later. Y'all been laughing at Florida and all of this stuff that my great state has had to endure for the last several years, specifically under governor death sentence Ron DeSantis. The entire country is about to turn into a Florida. Hello, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. And really, B, I have been saying this, and I know our next article speaks to this, and I probably should wait and save this for the next article about black people specifically. But I'm gonna say this. I've been saying to us as black people, I've been screaming this for the last 4 years. I said based on what we're seeing in many, many, many states, we have to come to terms with the fact that they're going to do to black people the same thing that they have done to our indigenous and Native American brothers and sisters, which means there will be no true and accurate history of what happened because let them tell it. Oh, the Native Americans and just moved out of the way and said, okay, here you go. Y'all can have it. And I could literally see 10, 15 years from now, public schools saying that there was no such animal as slavery in these yet to be United States of America. And we have to come to terms with that and understand that that is happening. That is really happening. It happened. They did it wholesale, did it to the indigenous population. You think they don't, that they won't do it to our black asses? They absolutely will, and have already started. And we have that level of instruction about Native Americans happening in all 50 states. There has just recently been some states that have tried to be inclusive of the real history of Native Americans and the indigenous people of this country. But this is a 50 state, thing where wrong history is being taught. And so you think that it can't happen in our lifetime with black people? Absolutely. I'll tackle the what this could do for HBCUs when we get to that next article about what this means for black people. But that's something we really have to understand and know. This is what's happening.
I mean, I ditto and agree with all of what you said. I mean, already know I ditto and ditto again. Yeah, let's get a second article, you guys. So again, if you're just coming in, the articles, I will put the links in the chat, but they're also in the description box. So the next article that we're going to get to today is, why do I keep opening up the wrong tab? All right. So this is going to be more specific to us. So the article we're going to be reading is Trump abolishing education department spells doom for Black America. So let's get into this article. And this will be more specific to, like what El Teddy said, HBCUs and the such. This article is coming from AOL.com. I didn't even know AOL.com still existed, but okay then. It's actually the Griot. My apologies. It's the Griot. It's dated November the 13th of 2024. I was like, AOL.com. AOL. All right. Let's get into it, you guys. It is our time to have courage and fight for kids. Former U.S. Education Secretary Arne Duncan told the Griot. I miss Arne Duncan, and I didn't even think I liked him that much when he was there. But, you never
now you miss him.
Anyway. And I didn't like Arne Duncan. You know I didn't like Arne Duncan.
I know you did.
I did not like Arne Duncan.
I know you did. But how we would love to have Arne Duncan back.
You never miss your water until the well runs dry.
Okay.
President-elect Donald Trump's campaign promise to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education is being criticized as a potentially whitewashing of America's education system and a change to Title I and Title VI that could defund special education, school lunch programs, and possible cancellation of summer schools. You know what? Arne Duncan, former U.S. Secretary under the Obama administration, spoke exclusively to the Griot, saying, "It is our time to have courage and to fight for kids." When Duncan was specifically asked about the impact of Trump's proposed education cuts on Black and brown kids, the ex-Obama official exclaimed, "There was a chance to have an extraordinarily damaging and detrimental effect." Duncan's concerns are about our history being whitewashed. He ain't put our history. Anyway, we have to be concerned about defunding vulnerable populations, Title I money for poor children, money for special needs children, or school lunches, all that might be taken away. A focus on after school and summer school programs might be taken away as well. Access to higher education that might be cut out. Duncan, also a Howard University Board of Trustee, represented concern over funding for HBCUs. During a second Trump administration, during Trump's first term, his advisor Steve Bannon argued that a commitment to increase funding for their institutions following a White House meeting with Trump would be unconstitutional, based on concerns that doing so discriminated against other races and ethnicities. Advocates for HBCUs are concerned about whether they will be funded at the level they should be. Historically, HBCUs have needed more funding, especially amid challenges after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against race-based admissions at predominantly white colleges, also known as affirmative action. There has been a rise in HBCU college applications, causing the schools to be concerned about housing capacity, scholarships, and classroom staffing. Former U.S. Rep. Mondre Jones, Democrat from New York, says Trump's
Mondare.
proposal. Mondare.
That's my boy Mondare. Yes, Mondare Jones.
Okay, Mondre, he all right. On educations are horrifying. My bad, Mondare, my bad, boo. You have so many black and brown kids in this country who are depending on the funding that the Department of Education doles out to underserved school districts, he told the Griot. Title I funding, for example, for our nation's poorest school districts. Jones continued, the Department of Education is also in charge of investigating anti-Semitism on college campuses, which is something that Republicans have said that they care about. He added, but when the rubber meets the road, Republicans are quickly going to abandon it through undermining this important federal department. As president-elect, Trump prepares to be sworn into office in about 70 days. The IMD World Competitiveness Center ranks America's education system position 12th in the world. Trump said he wants to fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. In recent years, some Republican governors have fought against the College Board's accrediting of the AP African American Studies course, which will offer college credit. Steve Bumbaugh, former member of the College Board executive leadership team, told the Grill that he believes local government will have more power to determine how Trump's education plan impacts them. Bumbaugh believes anything not directly tied to federal funding is a local government issue for schools. However, he said, voters will make a difference in this determination as it will likely take place through the school board elections and secondly through elections at the state level like governors as the governor elects state education chiefs, excuse me, Lord. That's the article. So again, local elections matter. Go ahead, Elsa. You have the floor.
I think one of the issues we're going to have is Florida just and it passed. Um, Florida had a ballot measure, number one actually, where they were saying that now school board elections had to be partisan, where you had to now declare a party
We
in
talked
order to
about
run
that.
for school boards. And so now that has actually passed. And you know how these states are. You're going to see copycats. This is going to become the way of the world for multiple states now. And so now we are politicizing education. Now it's not about true and real instruction, pedagogy, the accepted science and practices within that particular discipline, which should be neutral, which should be absolved of anything political. Now every aspect of life is now going to be politicized. And for all of you people saying I'm not into politics, newsflash, by your decision not to be into politics, you have now opened the door to everything you are involved with being into politics, whether or not you wanted to. So now you're talking about completely politicized and polarized school boards now. And so now there will be no every the back burner will be instruction, pedagogy, ensuring that the edification of the next generation happens will all be on the backboard. What will be on the back burner, on the front burner, will be, what does this do for us politically? Are these people aligned with what we think? Are they teaching what we believe is real, true, and correct? Not what's real, but what we believe or want them to know is real, and what speaks to our agenda, or what helps us along the lines 10, 15 years up from now when these students enter the workforce. That is going to be the whole agenda of education. So we are truly, and it's so funny because they always give their hand away. You know how the conservatives have been screaming from the rooftops for the last 10 years, Oh, we should stop indoctrinating students. Well, guess what? They were telling you that because that's what they were intending on doing. And now we are full steam ahead with them putting putting everything in place so that they can start indoctrinating your students and your children. And now, if you think the electorate is dumb now, if you think some of these people don't know what the hell is going on now, when they go into the voter booth and vote against their best interest, that will be multiplied exponentially come 10, 15 years from now. It's going to be way out of order. And that's what they want. And if you look at his and really be is the history buff on this platform, but look at the histories of a lot of these authoritarian governments. The first thing they attack is education and education and the media and the press, because they do not want you knowing the truth. They do not want you being educated. And that way they can get away with doing whatever they want, and you'll give them the keys to the car with which to do it. I'm done really because I might spike out if I keep going. But that's what we have going on. And for black people, I'm sorry, I was supposed to talk to what this means for us. I was having a conversation yesterday actually, with someone who wanted to bring into the conversation about what's happening with this election, that is HBCU versus PWI and all of this stuff. And I was like, what? Because they were like, well, HBCUs will be fine. I said, hello, newsflash. Almost, I think, I'm not sure if the numbers really be, you may know more than I, but I believe about half, if not more, of the HBCUs around the country are state schools. Go to a state like Tennessee,
A lot of them are
South
schools,
Carolina,
yeah.
North Carolina, and Texas.
Bowie.
Most of their HBCUs are state schools, meaning they are subject to whatever the people in charge decide to do. That includes funding, that includes curriculum, that includes what organizations you can have on campus, all of it. So this isn't about no. Everybody's in, everything is at stake. Nobody's going to be absolved.
Yeah.
We all going to get this.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And again, I just keep going back to the people who voted against their own best interests. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how much clearer people could have been. I mean, the man did not lie. Now, what he'll be able to do versus what he wants to, that remains to be seen. But he didn't lie to you about what his intention was. He was very clear that he intended to do this. He's been saying it for 8 years. I mean, I don't know what y'all want from us. I don't know. But you're right. There are a lot of HBCUs that are state schools, and so for the ones that are state schools, so here's the game that I fear that they'll play. For the ones that are state schools, like you said, they're beholden to what the state legislature puts in place. For the private schools, I feel like that's where the accreditation comes into play.
And the money and accreditation.
Right.
Yep.
As somebody who's gone through that with their school, dealing with losing accreditation and having to go through that whole process, it's not a fun process. We saw it happen with Morris Brown. We've seen other schools, other HBCUs dealing with accreditation issues. So I feel like that's the game that they're going to play with the private HBCUs. So yeah.
I don't know what y'all want from us. We've been over here sounding the alarm for some time now.
We sure have. We've been trying to tell it. And like I said, I know that a lot of times over here we're preaching to the choir, but what the election showed us, the demographics from the election showed us, is we may not be preaching to the choir as much as we think we are. Because clearly, when you say 70% of white women who voted for Trump, what that tells you is that 7 out of every 10 white women who voted for Trump. Like, that's what that is as plain as I can make it. That is what that number means. So if you come across 10 white women, the likelihood that a group of 10 white women, the likelihood that one of them voted for Trump is really pretty high. or just didn't vote at all. Either they, you know what I mean? Either they didn't vote at all, or it's a pretty high number they voted for Trump. So, you know, I don't think we're preaching to the choir as much as we think we are, to be honest with you. The last article that we pulled for you guys today is dealing with the House race and how that could decide the future. And that goes back to kind of what we already covered. We're going to read through this article. What's happening in HISD currently should have been a cautionary tale for how the state will be running school districts. Oh, yeah, down in Houston. Oh, yeah, they lost their mind down there in Houston. I've been following it. We've actually done some stories on the
We've
Houston
done
school
several
district.
stories from
Yeah,
over
we've
there
actually
in
done some
Houston.
stories on them. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct about that it should be a cautionary tale, because we have definitely been following what's been going on down there as well. Let's pull this last article. I already put the link in the chat, and again, it's in the description box if you want to go back and read it later. But let's get into it. And then at 5 o'clock, you can meet El Teddy on his channel. He's going to be talking about the newest appointees, among other spike out worthy topics. And then I'll be coming in right behind him at 6:45, and we'll be talking about some things over there as well. Yeah, according to the Shade Room, he's won the House. Yes, that is what I just saw.
Oh yeah,
I just saw that.
they've already projected that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep. All right, let's get into this last article, child. Oh yeah. I apologize. Excuse me. House races could decide Department of Education's future. Again, this is coming from the Los Angeles Blade. And this is dated November the 13th of 2024. Hold on. Okay. The Associated Press reports that more than a dozen races for seats in the U.S. House of Representatives, including 10 for congressional districts in California, remain too close to call as of Tuesday, a full week after voters cast their ballots. Democrats hope, well, part of this article is sort of dated because they didn't already called it, but let's just go ahead and read it. Democrats hope that they can flip the lower chamber, which is now governed by a narrow Republican majority. Well, we know that didn't happen. Let me go on and skip that paragraph. On the other hand, the GOP retains control of the House. The Republican victory could clear a major roadblock that could otherwise have stymied a major plank of Trump's education agenda, plans to permanently shutter the U.S. Department of Education. Congress ultimately scuttled the former president's effort to do so during his first administration, though technically he proposed then was to merge the agency with the Department of Labor. The Wall Street Journal notes that some Republicans at the time and in years since have come out against plans to abolish the 44-year-old agency, in some cases objecting to major defunding cuts proposed by Trump, and they understood were likely to be unpopular. However, if a second term plans for DOE as delineated, in the Trump Campaign Agenda 47 and the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, governing blueprint becomes a major policy priority once the incoming administration takes over in January. Reluctant Republican lawmakers will face tremendous pressure to get out of Trump's way. Federal government will remain in schools to advance anti-trans, anti-woke agenda. Among other responsibilities, DOE disperses and manages student loans, enforces the civil rights laws in public schools, and provides funding for students with disabilities. The agency's programs, such as Title I, offer assistance for low-achieving high poverty K-12 schools, while Pell Grants help undergraduates who otherwise would not be able to pay for college. It is unclear whether or how those functions will continue if the DOE is disbanded. Trump's aim, at least in large part, is to give states, rather than the federal government, the ultimate say-so over how their schools are run. At the same time, perhaps paradoxically, the other cornerstone of his education agenda policy is to issue prospective rules governing the content, curricula, and classroom discussion that will be permitted in the country's public schools. Specifically, this means critical race theory. Child, I thought we was done talking about critical race theory, LT. Critical race theory, agenda ideology, or other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political topics or materials are forbidden. Reasonable people are likely to disagree about what is and what is not appropriate and inappropriate, and they may well have different, even disparate definitions for terms like gender ideology. When Florida and other states enacted similar anti-LGBTQ content and curricular restrictions in other public schools, critics warned the ambiguous language in the statute and the resulting confusion would lead to censorship or perhaps self-censorship, especially for students and staff who, by virtue of their skin color or sexual orientation or gender identity, are more likely to be targeted with targeted or overzealous enforcement in the first place. DOE plays a major role investigating alleged civil rights violations in schools. According to the National Education Association, federal civil rights laws prohibit school boards and other employees from discriminating against or harassing staff or students based on their sexual orientation or gender identity, which means, for example, that a school district may not prohibit only LGBTQ plus educators from answering students' questions about their families, may not prohibit recognition and discussion in class only LGBTQ plus families, and may not require that the only LGBTQ plus students hide their sexual orientation or gender identity at school. However, the NEA warns some school districts, administrators, and the Florida Department of Education may nonetheless choose to do so until a court decides otherwise. If officials at a public high school allow heterosexual students teachers to display family photos in their classrooms, but warn openly gay teachers that he must put his away or be terminated for violating restrictions on in-school discussion and sexual orientation or gender identity, the manner in which the policy was enforced against him would presumably run afoul of the federal civil rights laws, which prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. The teacher would assume the expense of hiring an attorney to pursue legal remedies, shouldering the burden and the risk of litigation that could drag on for months and conclude with a judgment in favor of the employer. Alternatively, until or unless Trump dissolves the agency, he could file a complaint with DOE's Office of Civil Rights. Alternatively, until Trump dissolves the agency, the teacher could file a complaint with DOE. The agency's Office of Civil Rights would evaluate the information he shared to determine whether there were sufficient grounds to open an investigation, and if so, would deploy a variety of fact-finding techniques that could include a review of documentary evidence submitted by both parties, interviews with key witnesses, and site visits. After the investigation is complete, if a preponderance of the evidence supports a conclusion and the recipient failed to comply with the law, OCR will attempt to negotiate a resolution agreement. If the recipient refuses to resolve the matter, in this matter, OCR can suspend, terminate, or refuse to grant or continue federal financial assistance to the recipient or may refer to the case of Department of Justice. Lord, that's a lot. They're giving you the whole process, child. And basically, I'm gonna just skip because it goes through the whole process. Basically, what they're saying is all of that could go away if you feel like your civil rights are violated as an employer in a school district. During his first administration, Trump proposed changes to the Title IX of Education Amendments of 1972, which retooled the process for reporting sexual assault on college campuses in ways that were widely seen as imbalanced in favor of the accused. Biden shifted it back, child. The regulation sidestepped thornier questions, however, about how schools should approach issues at the intersection of gender identity and competitive sports, specifically only that they should avoid bans that would categorically prohibit transgender athletes from participating. Shortly after the Biden administration's guidelines were introduced, Trump vowed they would be terminated on his first day in office. He also pledged to enact anti-trans policies that appear to have been modeled after some of the most extreme of the roughly 1,600 anti-trans bills that conservative state houses have proposed from 2021 to 2024. Among other promises Trump made during the campaign were planned to enact a nationwide ban on trans student athletes competing in accordance to their gender identity, a federal law that would recognize only two genders, and the prosecution of healthcare providers who administer gender-affirming care to patients younger than 18. Also, he said, I saw today where he also said that he would pursue legal remedies against teachers who support and call students by their preferred pronoun and preferred name versus their birth pronoun and their birth name. Yeah. So he gonna put us in jail. That's it.
Um,
That's the article.
there's an all-out assault on education. There has been for some time now. You've been seeing it happen on the state level. We have been over here beating the drum, screaming from the rooftops that this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. We go all the way back to 2020, where we saw the first state that was starting to do all of this stuff was who? Texas, down there with Governor Hot Wheels. Even before Florida started being Florida, I remembered who it was. Governor Hot Wheels was over there blazing a trail for all to follow. And now we see, because there was a whole lot of people just looking like, well, that ain't my problem. Let them deal with that over there in Texas. Let them deal with that over there in Florida. This is happening. And so many people kept quiet, didn't want to be in the fight, didn't want nothing to do with it. Well, we're here now. We're here. We're here. All of this, and I'm in the last few days, week or so, I've been hearing all of these people because to them, it was, the Dems, they care more about the trans people and LGBTQ people than they do about us. Well, you know what? I keep saying, when you determine as a marginalized group that you're going to allow the government to disenfranchise another marginalized group, you are next. You are absolutely next. And in the same way that your community doesn't want anything but to just be able to live and be successful and enjoy their life and family and the comforts of the freedoms that this country is quote unquote saying that it can give you, then why can't you want that for everybody? I just never understood that. So while you sit idly by and say, well, that's their problem, that's their fight, I don't like them anyway, I don't know why they care about them anyway. Well, guess what? You're next. Because unless you fit into the big five, white, male, heterosexual, Christian, and rich, because some of the white men forget that last fifth one, rich. Let me say it again. White, male, heterosexual, Christian, and rich. Unless you fit into the big five, they don't give a damn. They don't care. You're next. You're just next on the chopping block, and you're being used as a pawn to continue to put them in positions of power. They're not here to help you. They will use you like a used up rag and throw you to the side until the next 4 years come along. And the sad part is, this time, they didn't even try to hide it. They didn't even try to fool you into thinking that's what they were going to do. They were open about the fact that they didn't care about you. And you still went over there like sheep toward the slaughter, going right into the slaughterhouse. It baffles the mind. It just really baffles my mind. But I'm going to be sitting right over here like, you on your own. I don't have nothing to do with it.
Honestly, because the reality is, what can we do, right? What the hell can we do? So I'm with you. Like, I'm on the sidelines. I don't know what you want. I don't know what y'all want from us. Like El Teddy said, we have been sounding alarm for a very long time. We have been putting that information out for a very long time. I don't know what y'all wanted from us that we didn't give y'all. And I say us, I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about everybody. The fact that we literally have people walking around like, oh, I didn't know that Obamacare was the Affordable Health Care Act. I mean, yeah,
Yes.
we can blame Democrats for allowing that narrative to be out there for so long. But let's be clear, baby, that we're working on 12 years. If you ain't figured out the difference in 12 years, I don't know what to tell you. If you are a parent that has a child with special needs and it never occurred to you that this Department of Education closing could affect your child, I don't know what to tell you. If you are a woman and under Trump's first administration, he shot down Roe v. Wade, I don't know what to tell you.
And let's be clear. Let's be clear. They have come right back out now that elections is over and saying, oh, yes, we were serious about coming after IVF. They're serious. They've come
Absolutely.
right back out.
So if you have an embryo sitting somewhere in cold storage, I mean, you may want to go ahead and make a decision before the government makes it for you. I mean, like it's that serious. Yes, it is that serious. The AKAs try to tell y'all it's a serious matter. Y'all didn't want to listen to them. So again, when we talk about why, and I'm gonna speak for myself, not El Teddy, although I think I can speak for him, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna let him say his piece. When I say that this is not the same as you just being a Republican, when I say that I can't F with you if you voted for Trump, that's what I mean. I don't care if you voted for Bush. I don't even care if you voted for Reagan. But voting for Trump ain't the same. It's not the same. And for me, no, we can't be friends. We can't talk. If you voted for Trump, just don't tell me, because I'm telling you now, the conversation is immediately ended and we are done. And I'm good on that. But again, I'm not speaking for El Teddy. I'm speaking for me.
Y'all know how I get. I spike out real easy. See, really B is the easy one out of the two. She's
I
gonna tell it to
am.
you real nicely.
I
I'm gonna
am.
have more choice words for you because I don't give
He
a damn.
will. He don't.
I don't give two damns.
Can the record reflect that El Teddy said I was the nice one? Can we just put that on the record, please? Thank you.
Nobody's gonna remember that.
Oh, Raveen's gonna remember.
Ravine, see, there's the problem right there, Ravine. Mm-hmm. It's always you, Ravine. I be trying to be, and Ravine always just. I see it. I see you, Ravine. I see you. But listen, I'm just telling y'all over here down to Teacher Project 2.0. We have always been ahead of the curve, ahead of the trend. We have
Damn.
always been in front of the news cycle. Just go back and look. Just go back. I don't know what else y'all want from me, really be. I don't know what y'all want from us. We should have just came on here today, really be, and sat here and just drinks and had water or soda and be like this. I don't know what y'all need from us. We did what we were supposed to do.
We did our part. We did
We
it.
sounded the alarm. We screamed from the rooftop. I spiked out several times.
He did.
Really be even spiked out several times. So what do y'all want from us?
So we'll
What?
continue to bring you, we'll continue to bring you what we got, you guys. We'll continue to bring it to you. But I hate to be doom and gloom, but it ain't looking good. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, is the best thing I can tell y'all. That's the most uplifting thing I can say, is it's gonna get worse before it gets better. That's the most positive thing I can say right now. And that probably wasn't real positive, was it?
It wasn't.
Well, that's the best I got. I'm sorry. I ain't got nothing for you. With that being said, you guys are great. Get out of here. Please make sure, if you are not subscribed to El Teddy, please make sure you subscribe to El Teddy 27. He will be going live in about 15, 20 minutes. If you want his extended spike out version, I will be going live right behind him. We'll be talking about some things over there as well. And with that being said, you guys, we will see you. We got your evening locked up till about 8 o'clock. Okay, y'all come on back. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace. We're gonna have an outro one day too. Just one day.
They have